It's no secret that I'm a big fan of spaghetti westerns, and I just love their style of storytelling and the whole concept of the anti-hero. So I was walking around New York City thinking about what kind of movie I could shoot, and I just noticed this wonderful John Carpenter-esque desolation. It just immediately came to my mind, hey, this same sort of story could happen in a severely economically disadvantaged New York City.
Our film takes place in a post-economic world as opposed to a post-apocalyptic world. All financial infrastructures and support that society has built up for ourselves over the centuries have failed. It has basically returned the world to almost this Wild West mentality where, you know, you have to live by the gun or die by it. So in about 3 years, there'll be a period piece.
Essentially, Ario and Ceferino are stealing things from the area of New York City that they live on the outskirts of, and eventually it catches up with them and Ceferino has a bounty put on his head. It's not a badge of honor to him, it's not anything positive or anything to be proud of, whereas Ario is jealous that he doesn't have the bounty on his head.
Ceferino, being the older outlaw, the wiser one, he breaks the law in order to feed his family, in order to take care of his family and take care of himself and survive. And Ario, being the rock star outlaw, does it for the love of the life, for the love of the fame and the infamy it brings him.
And there's a very, very nasty man named Drake Adder, who is a freelance law enforcement agent, and he's now on Ceferino's tail.
Drake Adder is played by James. He wrote this role for himself wisely. You know, actors today need to make content for themselves, and he was really born to play this role. He brings an intensity and an understanding to the character where he's not just a caricature of villainy.
Drake is a man who thinks he's doing right. He believes in the letter of the law, not the spirit of the law. He has a very clear idea of what is good and what is bad, and he thinks he's doing the right thing. Ceferino, he's just a man making a living, and he's played by Carlos Gallardo. Carlos knows how to do everything on a film set. He's done everything. He can give you advice on every single aspect of film and life in general.
You can't be in my generation of filmmaker and not completely look up to this guy. Being able to work with him is a dream come true. He's a very intuitive actor, and having him bring this character to the screen, I know when I look back at my filmography will be one of the high points of it.
Ario is played by Solomon Trimble, who you might have seen in the first Twilight movie, and Solomon is suited to make the change that Ario has to make, and it's the most difficult part to play in the whole movie. You have to see the change in Ario, and you have to see the circumstances make him see everything different, and I can't wait to see what Solomon's gonna do when we're finally shooting this thing.
The main theme of the price is the difference between the outlaw and the criminal. The outlaw has a code, and the criminal does not. And which side of that argument Ario falls on is to be decided in the climax of our film. When I first read the price, I was immediately taken in not only the stories and the characters, but how clearly James expressed the story.
Zeke is an accomplished director, and when he first read the script, he said, your vision is so clear and your vision is so pronounced and so strong. He said, I would not want to betray that vision at all. So the idea of co-directing came up.
We both speak the same language and we both speak a shorthand.
I can mention something from a movie that we've both seen, and he knows exactly the shot I'm talking about, exactly the scene I'm talking about.
James and I really share the same vision, and it just makes sense, you know, for the two of us to work on this project together.
And Panavision New Filmmakers Grant is wonderful because it gives young filmmakers, beginning filmmakers who normally wouldn't have access to this sort of equipment an opportunity to work with the best equipment out there. And most major Hollywood productions use Panavision equipment.
Panavision has been insanely supportive of us and the price. And to be given this grant as a first-time filmmaker is a huge validation, you know, that we're not only on the right track, but that we really do have a story that's worth telling.
I think people will want to watch The Price because no matter how glitzy movies get, no matter how wild special effects get, I think people like a good story.
I feel at an age when we're all making, you know, quirky little YouTube videos and one-note jokes, you know, there's been a loss of story. You know, there's been a loss of classical storytelling with themes and good and evil and villains and heroes, you know, even though our heroes operate in a shade of gray. And I think people miss that, you know, and people are hungry for it. And, you know, the price certainly delivers.